The year was 1981. The wedding of Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer had just taken place. Raiders of the Lost Ark was number one at the box office. Betty Davis' Eyes was playing on the radio, and IBM had just released the very first personal computer. At the Western Mustang training camp, 130 hopefuls were vying for 36 spots on the dress roster. With 19 starters returning, Londoner Sean McEwen was the only freshman to crack the roster. A team loaded with veterans, head coach Darwin Samodiak said the team was now rebuilt. Having won the Yates Cup in 79 and 80, the Mustangs team of 81 entered the season with great expectations, along with a great deal of pressure to win. A talented, deep, and experienced team on both sides of the ball, together with the productive kicking of Kevin Ridyard, suggested a team ready to compete for a national title. A tune-up exhibition game against Queens saw the Mustangs trounce the Golden Gales 34-7 behind Greg Marshall's 115 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, and the defensive play of safety Dave Plowman. 3 touchdowns from Greg Marshall and 3 interceptions by Chris Marcus helped the Mustangs roll to a 44-win opening day victory over the York Yeomen in a game where the Mustang defense forced 5 turnovers. Playing the Waterloo Warriors without 4 key starters, running back Mike Kirkley turned in his best performance of his college career, carrying the ball 12 times for 119 yards and 4 touchdowns. Western quarterback Andy Rossett filled the sky with long passes to receivers Dave McCann and Barry Spratt and others. 38-7, the final score. In a shootout against the Varsity Blues, Greg Marshall rushed for 240 yards on 27 carries and scored 4 touchdowns. Marshall gave much of the credit to his offensive line: Mike Zivilak, Pat Brady, Ned Amendola, Jeff Arp, Rob Mustard, and Rick Maloney, who controlled and dominated the line of scrimmage. At the start of the third quarter, the Stangs took over on the ground, scoring twice on drives of 70 and 80 yards. They did not throw the ball once on either drive. A key punt return, setting up a fourth quarter score, would help the Mustangs prevail over Toronto's vaunted passing attack. 43-37 was the final. Down 18-4 with 10 minutes to play, the Mustangs rallied against the Guelph Griffins, scoring 2 touchdowns in the final 2 minutes and 40 seconds of the game. Marching to victory off their passing game, Andy Rossett threw a touchdown pass to tight end Mark DeBreeze. His final pass came as a complete surprise to recipient Al Quinn, who was running a clearing route in the play. Affectionately known by his teammates as Stonehands, they claimed he hadn't caught a pass all week in practice. Quinn's timely, heroic 27-yard touchdown catch was the key to a 22-18 victory. A 20-point fourth quarter splurge by the Mustangs in front of 10,000 homecoming fans enabled Western to dispose of Laurier 32-9 in a game that saw the Stang defense be the critical factor. Running the 44 Special D, Western was led by linemen Mark Zivilak, Dave Sparenberg, and David Pearson, with linebackers Kevin Port and Dave Lisk. The Mustangs piled up 5 quarterback sacks. A key tackle by defensive back John Lynch led to a Mustang goal line stand, making the difference in the win. Getting out to a 35-0 halftime lead against Windsor Lancers, the Mustangs rolled to 391 yards on the ground, led by Ryan Potter's 175 yards on 13 carries, and Greg Marshall's 152 yards rushing. Western coasted to a 42-7 win, their 6th straight win, clinching first place in the conference. In the final game of the regular season against McMaster, the defense was stifling, holding Mac to just 133 yards on offense. Greg Marshall ran for 143 yards himself, along with 3 touchdowns, as the Mustangs finished the regular season with 7 consecutive wins, the first time a Western team had gone through the league schedule without a loss since 1957. In the semifinal playoff game, again against Laurier, Marshall stole the show, rushing for an incredible 317 yards on 24 carries, setting a single-game OUAA rushing record. In total, Marshall scored 3 touchdowns, leading Western to a 53-11 win. The tone was set on Western's second offensive play of the game when Marshall broke off a 95-yard touchdown run, and he thought a Laurier comeback was put to rest in the second half when Ryan Potter returned a kickoff 95 yards. Running back Mike Kirkley added 2 touchdowns, sending the Mustangs to the Yates Cup final. The Yates Cup game was a rematch with Guelph, where the Mustangs found themselves down 7-6 at halftime. An exemplary performance by halfback Ryan Potter, the leading rusher in the game. He scored the lone Mustang touchdown, earning him the Dalt White Trophy as player of the game. The Mustangs put to rest any hope of a Guelph upset when Western came from behind on a second-half 100-yard drive, capped off by Potter's 23-yard touchdown run. As offensive coordinator Larry Haler said after the game, tradition doesn't lay down easily, as the Mustangs prevailed 17-7. In the national semifinal game, the Western Bowl, despite Greg Marshall being named MVP for his 206 yards of rushing, the Mustangs would suffer a heartbreaking loss at the hands of the Alberta Golden Bears. With just 54 seconds remaining, the Golden Bears drove 57 yards on 7 plays to edge the Stangs 32-31 on a 32-yard field goal with 11 seconds left in the game. Head coach Darwin Samodiuk reminisced about the season. That heartbreaking loss still resonates among all of us who were on the field that day. I will always consider the 1981 team to be one of the best football teams that Western put on the field. A classy, talented group of athletes and coaches that will always be champions in my eyes. The 1981 team was one of the great ones to represent the University of Western Ontario. Indeed, it was a distinct pleasure and honor to be involved with such a talented, committed, and together group of players and coaches. This was a team that produced 8 first-team All-Stars, 6 second-team All-Stars, and 3 All-Canadians. 16 members of the 81 team would go on to play in the CFL. This 1981 team was one of Western's truly great groups, a team of character, talent, togetherness, and great pride in representing their university. Their performance and legacy will live on with great distinction in the history of Mustang football. The 1981 Western football team, all Mustang legends.